And welcome and good evening to The Truth is Simple. I'm Dave Corm, your host. Today is November 21st, 2023, and this is Thanksgiving week. So it's going to be all about Thanksgiving. We'll see you in a sec. And welcome. Today we're going to talk about Thanksgiving. I know this is coming up on Thursday. It's really close here, right? I don't know if Thanksgiving means the same thing to you as it does to me or to half of America anymore. We're all caught up in so much different things around the holidays, and Thanksgiving is kind of like the kickoff of the holidays. Some people, it's just a big 1 or 2 days extra off, a 4-day weekend for them. Others really get into Thanksgiving and prepare the meals and hang out with their families and so forth and friends many miles. As me and my wife, we're going to be traveling some many miles this week coming up to spend with our family back east a little bit. And then we kick right off into the holidays. So let's talk about Thanksgiving. Let's talk about the origins. Maybe you've had this in school, depending on your age. I don't know what they're teaching. Teacher back on the wall back there, taught for about 12 years in California and a few years here in Nevada. I don't know what they're teaching in high school or any of the schools anymore about Thanksgiving. It could be, depending on what teacher you have, it could be all over the place, right? So, but I want to talk about Thanksgiving and how it formulated, where it started, how it came about, and let's go from there. So Thanksgiving basically came from the Puritans. There were some persecuted religious Christians called the Puritans who came from the UK, England at the time, and they left from Plymouth in England on September 1620, and they were heading to some English colonies, mostly down in the Virginia area. They kind of missed the target a little bit and landed in what we call now Plymouth Rock, or Cape Cod area, Massachusetts. Kind of got a little bit lost, I guess you could say. They actually did take a ship called the Mayflower. So that was nice to know that, hey, it's not the Nina Pinta and Santa Maria as Columbus found a new world. It was actually the Mayflower. There was a second ship that kind of came with them, but I think they got lost or didn't quite make it. There were 102 Puritans on that ship when it arrived here in the Americas in that Cape Cod area. The first year was pretty much a hardships. They left in September, arrived here, I think it was sometime in November. So it was a pretty long boat ride for them. They probably anticipated about 35, 45 days. I think it took them 60 days or thereabouts to get here. So they got a little bit lost and a little bit out of place from where they were supposed to land. Not having any place, already a settled place, and going into winter, they had to endure some pretty hardships during that first year. And in fact, from disease and lack of food and from scurvy and so forth and so on, basically about 44 of the 102 died in that first year when they got here. In that spring, they were able to finally really land. Most of them stayed on the ship. When they were finally able to really land, they ran into an Indian named Squanto. He had been captured by the British and made what would you call it? A boat's boy or a shipmate guy on the boat. He's kind of commissioned into the English fleet or the Navy and taken back to England, where he eventually was able to reassert himself and get back into the Americas. Found out where his tribe was and ended getting back to where his tribe village was. And unfortunately, the people that are his tribal members basically was destroyed from diseases and illnesses that were brought over from England that basically killed his tribe. That was not uncommon in those days. A lot of tribal nations and so forth died or disappeared because of the diseases and so forth that were brought over from Europe during the colonization period. But anyway, Squanto taught the Pilgrims, along with a tribe he was living with called the Wampanoag, I think tribe is how you say it. I'm sorry if I say it wrong. Wampanoag, that lived in that area, that Plymouth Rock area in the Massachusetts area, as we know it today. It was probably called something else by them. But helped them to learn how to hunt, how to farm, and how to survive basically in that area. Come about that first year after they had been able to feed themselves, they had a harvest in November of 1671. After the corn harvest there, the governor of the colony, named William Bradford, organized a 3-day celebration feast and invited the local tribe, the Wampanoag Indians, to come and celebrate with them. And that was basically the beginning of Thanksgiving, or the very first Thanksgiving. As we went through time in Americas here, the next time we really kind of see Thanksgiving pop up again in any kind of mean manner or way, there were several celebrations from what I've read and researched during those time periods up until the Revolutionary War in between the United States, the new country that we know today, and the British Empire. George Washington in 1789 issues the first Thanksgiving proclamation in regards to the independence earned by the United States and by the ratification of the U.S. Constitution. So in 1789, George Washington, our first president, and the United States had won the Revolutionary War by that point, proclaimed Thanksgiving in the same November period, proclaimed Thanksgiving as not a national holiday, but they celebrated it then. The next time we kind of find out and see it is in 1817. The state of New York actually adopts the Thanksgiving holiday. So they were the first state, per se, at the time of the 13 colonies that kind of established a holiday of Thanksgiving in and of itself. And during the Civil War, President Lincoln, shouldn't be a surprise to you, in 1863, sets the last Thursday of November as Thanksgiving Day. During the Civil War, he looked at a way of trying to reflect, try to bring some kind of thankfulness and goodness out of what was basically the nation being torn apart. A lot of orphans, a lot of women who have lost their widows, who lost their husbands in the war, and so forth and so on. So he took that as a time to reflect upon all those persons who lost their husbands and their dads and so forth. And I'm sure during that period of time, food was pretty hard to find in some parts of the country, just because of the Civil War that was going on. There was probably a whole lot of farming stuff going on. So I'm sure there were food shortages. So he wanted to not celebrate, but reflect in giving thanks back to God, which is another thing we need to talk about for Thanksgiving. Again, in 1939, Franklin Delano Roosevelt moves Thanksgiving from the fourth Thursday, or the last Thursday of the month, to the third Thursday, in an attempt to kind of where it's gone so far today. We have Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, which I guess Black Friday almost runs from June now through Christmas, pretty much. Every day's almost a Black Friday somewhere here in the country, where somebody's celebrating it or some kind of sales going on. But he looked at it away, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, coming out of the Great Depression era in the United States, as a method to kind of inspire and get people to start spending a little more money by giving them an extra week to spend and so forth, from Thanksgiving, the traditional holiday, the last Thursday of the month in November, to the third Thursday, giving them that extra week to shop and buy Christmas stuff, to kind of inspire buying stuff, I guess, in the economy, to kind of perk it up and get it going a little more. In 1949, that was reversed, and that kind of became the national holiday. The last Thursday of the month is where Thanksgiving has been ever since that day, and has been celebrated as pretty much as a national holiday throughout the country. I want to talk about how original Thanksgiving is to us in the United States and so forth. There are a few other countries that do celebrate Thanksgiving. Canada does, but it's the second Monday in October. I don't know how they formulated theirs. I don't, however they did it in Canada, that's their Thanksgiving Day. Grenada, which is a small country or island country in the Caribbean, same as St. Lucia, which is the same. It's a small Caribbean island. Liberia, which is actually a colony, which is a country today, was a United States colony that started in Africa that was supported by slaves that decided to go back to Africa. So Liberia celebrates a Thanksgiving Day. Brazil, believe it or not, has a Thanksgiving Day, and they celebrate it basically on the same day we do. Grenada, St. Lucia, and Liberia have different days that are either in October or they're in November when they celebrate them. Who are we thankful to? I mean, looking back today, I think I said, what do people think about Thanksgiving today? Well, I kind of created a list. I tried to get online and figure out what people do for Thanksgiving and what it is today as opposed to what it was when the pilgrims started in the 1600s, 1621, when they had the first Thanksgiving. That was because they were very religious. They were, like, as I said, they were pilgrims. Basically, it's somebody that's traveling from one place to another place and kind of sets up a home is what a pilgrim is at a new place, a new world, and so forth and so on. Very religious. They were being persecuted in the UK. They actually moved to, I think it said, the Netherlands, and then decided that was not a good place to be. They went back to the UK for a brief period until they could get their ship, the Mayflower, and move and transition to the New World where they could have religious freedom. So thinking about the original Thanksgiving, very religious. It was a very thankful. I mean, they had lost 44 out of 102 people that first winter that they had come here to the New World. So almost half of their population, half of their people that came died. So I'm sure that was pretty hard for them. And then having to set up a new colony, which they did it right on top of Squatto's old Indian village. They put their town right on top of his old Indian village. But today it's a national holiday. Back then it was more of just a celebration to God and being thankful for everything that they had, be able to survive that first year here in the New World, not having any skills. The Indians that came alongside them and helped them and taught them how to forage for food, how to farm, and how to provide for themselves. They were part of that celebration. Today, it's more of football games. It's parades. If you follow Macy's Parade, I think they have several others, and one in Chicago and so forth and so on as well nowadays. It's the start of our holiday season, right? Really the kickoff to, we don't even call Christmas anymore or anything like that. We don't even remember who Jesus is to some aspect in this country. We're not supposed to say Christmas now. It's all holidays, and we'll save that for Christmas and come back with that. A Christmas one of these as well vlog. Black Friday shopping, like I said, I mean, that's the official day, is the day after Thanksgiving, but I've already seen some ads that I think Walmart's having a sale actually starts on Thanksgiving Day. And then we've already I'm getting emails, I'm sure you got, or text messages saying, come to our Black Friday. We started it on Monday. So Black Friday is a big thing, parades, football, and then giving and sharing. I mean, a lot of people give their time on Thanksgiving Day, especially if they may or may not have a family that's local or something, and go to local community food banks and so forth that provide Thanksgiving meals to the less fortunate people living on the street and so forth. We'll save that conversation for another day as far as how do we get these people off the streets. There is a way, there is a manner. We'll save that for another one of these talk vlogs in the future. But as a way of giving back to those people in need that live on the streets by supplying and or serving people that are living out on the street. I think that's pretty much it. We covered it all. All my notes are covered. There is a mention I found on the internet that talks about in 1565 the quote unquote first Thanksgiving, but if you go through history, other cultures and nations and so forth in the past had what you could call a Thanksgiving festival as well. They're probably more like harvest festivals. They had a good harvest. They all celebrated with all the excess food they had at that time, which is going to spoil over a period of time. So they would have an excess of food and so forth. But this in 1565, Spanish settlers landed near St. Augustine, Florida, and shared a festival meal with the native Timucuans, I think is how it's said, a tribal American, a Native American tribe. I think they're called the Timucuans. But the festival had basically no basis on America. At that time, that was a Spanish colony. Florida was part of Spain. So that really didn't have any play on the United States' at that point, historical heritage of Thanksgiving. Some people want to make that the first Thanksgiving here in the Americas or in the United States, but at the time, like I said, it was actually a Spanish colony, part of Spain, until the United States took that away in the Spanish-American War, I think it was, and so forth and so on. And that was later in the 1800s. So really not part of the United States, even though people want to make it part of our first Thanksgiving. It's not traditionally. With that said, that pretty much covers it. I'm going to give you a little information here on a website you can go to on, I think it's Britannica. There you go. It's a little website you can go to and get more information. There's some pictures and some videos there that you could look at and watch. I was just kind of listening to one on my computer back here as I was getting this all set up for this vlog. But it had some good information, but as it went through and I was listening, it got kind of off track and got off track of what the historical event of Thanksgiving is here in the United States, and jumps back into some other things that are just going on, like football and soccer and whatever else things that are doing today. But that's America today. But you should know Thanksgiving basically was a religious thanking God for the year, thanking Him for the food, thanking for Him for us surviving, thanking Him for everything that we have today. America's today, really today, is like the one of the best places in the world. We have people coming from all over the world crossing our border illegally. There's a lot of reasons for that. Some is the drugs that they're bringing across that are coming from China. Xi Jinping is in San Francisco this week. They cleaned up San Francisco. All the people that were living on the street waiting for their Thanksgiving meal. I don't know where they're going to go. I don't know where the people went. They cleaned them all up and pushed them off somewhere. So Xi Jinping, the Chinese communist leader, could care less, because it's the same in China. If you get out of Beijing, at a principal some years back, probably 10 years, 15 years ago now, at the high school I was working at, went on a tour of China. He says, it's beautiful where all the tourists go. As soon as you get 3 streets off the tourist areas that they move through, he said he had never seen so much people that were just suffering and that didn't have anything. So poor people and so forth and so on. Anyway, enough said on that. Let's celebrate Thanksgiving. Take time to say a prayer to God and thank Him for everything He's given us. Even though you may not be doing so well in this country, you're still probably doing better than 80 to 90% of the people in the world. So there's a will, there's a way to get out. We can help you. Go to your local church, go to your local community center. There are people there that can help, and there are groups in your community that could help along too, bring you alongside and help you. So there is no reason for you to really be out on the street, for you to be destitute. I know the economy is not doing well. Pay has not been keeping up with the inflation and so forth and so on. I felt it. I'm sure everybody else has felt it as well as I have. But we still live in the greatest country in the world, and we still have a lot more than a lot of other people in the world. And again, that's why so many are coming here illegally. With that said, have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next time.